Let us say hello once again to Britain Hart. It seems like we were just doing a pre-fight interview, but here we are again. She's back at it again on Saturday, the main event of BKFC 29 in Montana for the inaugural BKFC strawweight title. She's taking on Fani Peloumpi. Britain, back again. How are you?
I know, man. I just left the gym, and a few people passed by that haven't been there in a while, and they looked at me and they're like, "Didn't you just fight? Like, how is this happening?" And I'm like, "Bro, I know." And I'm telling you, I was so adamant. This is how you know how much I love fighting. I was so adamant last fight that I need a break. I'm having mental breakdowns. I'm having emotional breakdowns. I need a break until 2023. I go home for all of 2 weeks, get the call, and I'm like, yeah, you just can't ignore greatness. You just can't. And it's this rule that I've always had. If it's now, it's now or never. And that's how I've always viewed life. And this is how I'm viewing this fight and going in there like 100% full throttle.
Yeah, I was gonna say I am very surprised to even be talking to you right now because the last time I spoke to you, you were very adamant. I'm gonna do this fight, and I'm gonna take the rest of the year off, deal with everything that I've been dealing with because you have been dealing with it, but you felt like you needed to prove to yourself that you could still do it and overcome all the adversity that you were facing, and that's what you did. So was it the
Right.
title? I mean, was it the belts? Because I mean, if they offered you most other fights, I don't think you would probably take it, considering how adamant you were that you're going to take time off. But was it the introduction of this title? Was it the opponent? What was the big factor in you saying yes to this?
The big factor is really the title. It was the biggest factor of all. Like, I was really adamant about taking the break. Like you said, you could see kind of like a total demeanor and emotion, like energy change between last camp to this one. But that title is like, for me, you know, my ultimate goal in fighting, and really what I want to do, with just everything. Like, I really want to be somebody who gives back, who is inspiring and a motivation to the community, to certain groups, and to even like the world, like if that is how it views me. But I feel like people will really never listen to me if I don't have a belt. It's just like, oh, she was a really hard worker and she fought with a lot of heart. She gave it her all. And a lot of my opponents use it as trash talk with me, like I'm a chump and I've never been a champ. I'm not a real champ. And this is just one of those things. I'm like, oh, to me, I view them as paper champs. But if I need a solid plate of gold to really like signify my meaning and my place in combat sports, then that's what I have to do. And it's not something I can take a break at.
The fight with Bec Rawlings was less than 3 months ago, and obviously there was some heat between the two of you. But like we talked about earlier, your main goal was to go in there, prove it to yourself that you could go in there and do it with everything that had happened to you before, and that there are no hurdles out there that you can't jump over. And you went in there and you got the win. Do you feel like you accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish in that fight?
Oh yeah, that and more. Honestly, I can't even believe. I really am. Like, I'm still in shock about it. And I know a lot of people have their dumbass opinions, excuse my French, but I've watched that fight back a million times, and I'm so proud of myself. Like, I did some really, I mean, really, I view it as a boxing clinic, and I was expecting to fight more emotional due to my, circumstances that were happening. And during the build up, it was a fucking painful camp. My mind was like, no, I'm not really revenging a rematch. I'm here trying to just prove it to myself that I can get through anything and that I can fight the battles that were going in within myself. But then now to look it back, it would be hard unless you talk to me to know that those were even things. I think I was super calm and poised. I control the whole fight, and just like really like symbolic to you control your life, you control the outcome. You know, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. And such a great life lesson to like put into play in the ring there. So yeah, I'm more than proud. And I came out without a scratch on myself. Like, that was just, man, I've been in some wars. I have some stitches, I've lost some teeth, I've broken some bones. To come out of a bare knuckle fight against Bec Rawlings untouched, unscathed, and her looking all dinged up and like a weird looking Care Bear, I'm super stoked for it.
All three judges scored the fight for you. Bec was not happy about that, as you probably have seen. You mentioned that there are other people who may not have agreed with the decision or the performance, but how do you react to those individuals, especially Bec, who feels that she deserved to win that fight?
Yeah, I just want to say it's kind of funny. It's why I was joking in the press conference, like, huh, like who's delusional now? That was her big old thing against me is, oh, Britain's delusional. She doesn't live in the real world that she thinks she has the skills to beat me. Well, there you go. There's the skills to beat you. And if anybody wants to beat her, I just put a perfect model out for it. So guess what? I guess Bec has to go back to the drawing board and find a way to beat somebody who has a very common fight style that you see in the UFC, in boxing, and now in bare knuckle. It's not something that I've done for the first time. We've seen Connor Tierney do it. We've seen Pearl Gonzalez fights with very good movement. And, it's really called like ring generalship, ring IQ. If they wanted me to stand and bang with you, I would have fought you in a phone booth. And then you can complain about it some more because I still would have won. But that circle, that ring circle or squared circle, what they call it, is big. Like, it's a big ring. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I mean, to find a fighter that can utilize the whole ring, I think is pretty skillful.
So we're moving down to strawweight for this one, and you've been at flyweight your entire BKFC run, but I mean, you've had boxing fights down under 120, I believe, but it's been a few years since you've been down there. Do you feel like 115, that this division is just a better fit for you?
Yeah, I think it's the best fit for me. I've been saying that. When I actually first got offered the first Bec Rawlings fight back in 2018, I was like, that was a big concern. That was like, nah, this girl's way bigger than me. Like, this isn't my weight class. I'm not going on TV to get, I don't give a shit about the money. Like, I'm not going on TV to get embarrassed. I want to win. I want to be the best. And I want to be ready for it. And this girl's a freaking monster. And they were like, she's not really that much bigger than you. They got it in my head. They sold me. They're good salesmen. They sold me in the fact that she wasn't that much bigger. So I just really went with it and gave it again 100%. I didn't expect to fall in love with bare knuckle. I truly didn't. And I did. And that's why I said, well, they only have one weight class when I started because I'm an OG. I started at BKFC too. So they only had one female weight class. And I was like, well, I'm not going to make excuses. They're going to come in bigger. They're going to come in stronger. They're going to come in with more experience. And I just have to saddle up and find a way to beat these bigger people, which is basically not standing in front of them and playing rock'em sock'em robots. It's beating them with this. It's a smart man's game at the end of the day when you want to have 9 professional bare knuckle fights. So that's what I did. And I feel like I can't believe I've been nailing it. But if you look back at any of the footage, these girls are 10 times the size of me. I mean, Paige compared to me, Pearl compared to me, they're probably cutting from like 145 to 125. Christine Ferea posted on her Instagram 140 the day of fight, and I was still 122 the day we fought. So really, when you think about it, when I'm weighing in under 125, eating and drinking and not doing no sauna, nothing like that, besides for it is very good health reasons, shout out to everybody. It does help clear toxins. So even though you don't need to lose weight, sauna is still good, but I didn't do it for a cutting weight purpose. So this is like, I mean, look, you can see it. The fight is this Saturday, and this is my energy because I'm not really cutting crazy. It's not like, oh my God, Britain's going down in weight class. Britain is in her weight class. That's really what this is.
As the fight week progresses, and I will be stunned if things change, but this is the first fight in a while where you and I are talking before a fight or after a fight where there's not a ton of heat and bad blood behind it. Like, you were very respectful there, at least that I'm aware of. I don't hear anything of your voice that's mad or angry or sees any disrespect. I mean, you go from Paige, we know how that thing brewed up, to Jenny Savage, we know how personal it was there, to Pearl, that got crazy. Christine was nuts. Bec was crazy. There was history with all these fighters, a lot of craziness in the build to all of those past fights. This one, much different. Is this refreshing for you, or is there a part of you that wishes there was a little bit of that animosity? It's easy for you to find a chip, but you know what I'm saying?
No, that's why I want to be like surprise to the world. I'm actually a really nice, respectful person. It's just another life lesson that we teach the kids. It's not the person that hits first, it's the person that hits back that gets in trouble. And that's what you guys have been seeing. I'm not making the first hit. I'm just hitting back. And then I'm getting the backlash like, oh, Britain's the disrespectful fighter. Britain's ratchet. Britain. And I'm like, man, like, I've been dying to have a respect. I love the sport. Like, I don't love playing checkers. I love playing chess. And I love that through and through. I'm sport fanatic. I don't want it to be drama and bullshit. But these girls, like, put them down the list. Like, Jesus Christ, Paige said she can beat me on her worst day. And that was like a little bit emotional. Jenny Savage is getting in the ring. And that, God, she's such a troll. She's still running her mouth online saying that I don't deserve the 115 belt. Like, if anything, I want to apologize to Fani that if anything mean I do to her, I'm just pretending she's Jenny Savage right now and trying to knock her out. Because, God, I'm going to knock that girl out like hard one day. If she deserves a third chance to even get in the ring with me. But, there's the animosity on that stuff. Pearl's sitting there saying my husband's in her DMs and making fun of my clothes and some dumb shit like that. And Bec saying I have no skill. Misfit saying I have no skill. Like, these women are disrespecting me and I'm snapping back. And that's what the world's seeing. And they don't like that. And to me, it's like, some people are like, well, it's business. And, Christine will even message me that. I'm like, why did you say this? Like, I'm one that's up in your face. I need answers. And they're like, chill, homie, chill. Just sell the fight. We need to sell the fight. And I don't roll like that. Like, you're either my friend and you F with me and we be respectful and we say, hey, I'm looking for the best fight. Or if we're throwing shots, then, it's no coming back from it. And to me, the fight, again, only settles who's the better fighter. It doesn't squash the personal beef. It doesn't squash the rumors being thrown behind my back. It doesn't squash all the things like that people aren't seeing because I'm not petty enough to put them online or say anything about it. But I'm also not a liar. When you ask me my opinion, unfortunately, I wear my heart on my sleeve and I just say it how it is. But I'm not out here making live feeds, blasting these girls. I'm not making memes. I'm not putting my cover photo with ratchet over my face. I'm not doing those bully tactics to fighters. I never have. And, those fighters are doing that shit to me. And so I take it personal because fighting to me is my life. I breathe, eat, and sleep it and gave up and sacrificed a lot for it. So for me to make the switch between business and personal is impossible. And I really could care less what people think about it. Because for me, the minute I stop caring, the minute I stop saying, it's just a fight, we're just selling it, then I don't care as much. And that's when I feel like that's going to be my downfall when I start moving into retirement. But obviously, right now, I care a whole lot. Like, and I shouldn't let it, but that's me being honest. It lets me know I'm alive. It lets me know that I'm a feeling and that I'm here to bring it to you guys.
Jenny's on this card too, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
Oh boy. So you get to run into her there.
And I just keep thinking, I'm like, man, I don't go looking for this shit, but I have a lot of good friends and I have a lot of people out of my back, and they send me these screenshots of her and her posts and her little threads, and they're like, did you see this? And I'm like, no, I didn't, but now I did. And so it just gets under your skin after a while. Like, give it a break. Like, you have 3 fights and one against a girl who's like had no business being in the ring, much less behind a car. You fought Sheena Starr and Delaney, and then your last fight, you have 3 fights compared to my about to be 3 times the fights that you have. And then 2, it's like I fought the biggest and baddest and toughest girls. Like, I've been putting myself out there without, not necessarily wanting these fights. You've done interviews with me. I don't ask for these fights. I just have to show up. And then 3rd, this is my weight class, and I stopped you in the 3rd round. Why would they put me and you as a title fight? It'd be like a repeat of like Christine and Taylor, and nobody wants that.
I was just going to ask you about that because the last time I spoke with you, you predicted that Taylor wouldn't get out of the first round. And it was a tough night for Taylor Starling. And she's been dealing with the heat and the backlash of that ever since that fight went down less than 2 weeks ago. What did you think when you were watching it?
I feel like when I was watching it, maybe I should apologize, but I feel like it was really heated. And again, really, guys, like, I'm just being honest to you, like, fighting is my life. I take it very personal. And sometimes people do bad things to you. And, you're just like, man, I can't wait till karma. Like, I don't have to do anything bad to you because karma and the true colors are going to show out. I just got to have a front seat ticket and watch it. And that's kind of how I felt when I was watching the fight. I was like, oh, here's my front row ticket to, like, not, and I don't want to take it out on her, although, I feel like there is some personal beef between me and her, but it's mostly her fans. Like, her fans are just like, always, Taylor Starling's gonna beat your ass, Britain. You need to face, that's the fight fans want to see. Oh, Taylor will beat Christine. Britain couldn't have a chance to do it, but Taylor's the one with the real chance. And I'm just like, uh, 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 like, it just gets beat over and over, and I don't even really get on social media that much. And it's just like, people message me like hundreds. You would be like, what, really? But like, people are in my inbox. They pretend to be Taylor. They're so stupid. They're like, yo, this is Taylor. I'm off my personal account, but I got to talk to you. And just dumb shit like that people don't see that goes on by the scenes that really, like, adds up on a mental and emotional level. So, I feel like I took it like that, but, I said what I did. Part of me now, I kind of feel sorry for her because it's like, lesson learned. You don't want to keep beating her over and over, when a tiger's down. But, I think she learned a very valuable lesson, and I think fight fans learned a very valuable lesson. I don't think BKFC, again, should get any slack for that fight, and I don't think her corners should get any slack for that fight, and I don't think the refs should get any slack for that fight. I think she should, and I think that's a life lesson. Like, hey, I'm going to be responsible. I asked for this. I begged for this. I ran my mouth when I shouldn't. And now I have to pay the consequences for it. And it's not, I'm a warrior no matter what for stepping in. It's, maybe I should listen to those around me that say, you're not ready. Maybe I should listen to those that are like, take a break for a while, or why don't you fight and build your record elsewhere? And, maybe you shouldn't throw the people that were really close to you and your really good friends under the bus. Because if Taylor never threw me under the bus, I feel like I would have gave her a lot more love and support during this fight. But because she threw me under the bus, she got too big for her britches. It was hard for me to show any sympathy at the time.
Yeah, I talked to her heading into the fight, and she had seen the interview I did with her when you talked about like how the falling out and everything, and she didn't want to focus on that, obviously, because she was getting ready to fight an absolute monster in Christine Ferea. But I could tell and I'm not a psychology major, but I could tell that I think she was a little bummed about how everything played out. But because look, you two were very, very close. About a year ago, you're up on the podium together after big wins at BKFC 19, big money fight, pay us all this money, and then we'll fight each other. You're arm in arm. It was a very cool moment, but obviously things have fallen apart. So I'm curious. I'm not saying you guys are gonna be friends or anything like that, but as someone like yourself who has prided herself in overcoming adversity, overcoming negativity, social media backlash, which you've talked about here as well, maybe you can take some of that, maybe pass some of that on to her. So if she called you, things were cool. She was like, Britain, like, I just need to talk to somebody. You've been there, you've done that, you've gone through a lot of these hardships and was able to come through on the other side. What would you say to her? What advice would you give to her?
Yeah, I would absolutely. I mean, I think that's why I've been so, like, heartbroken by it, because she was my friend. Like, and I mean, I was very adamant about that. I would never dream of fighting her, and I would support her, and I'm so happy for her. But, at the same time, it's like, I get it. And I acknowledged it before we fought. Like, we might have to fight each other. And she's like, oh, we'll make money and we'll make it the best fight ever. I'm totally okay with that. But, you know, it's still like I would never overstep my boundaries on my elders and the one I respect. And that's not even what this is about. But it's like, I wouldn't go in there. The belt, like I said, means everything to me. Like, it's very, very important that I get a belt. This belt specifically. I can't express that enough to you guys, how important it is to me. So when I have my best friend come in and say they try to take it from me, that's a little bit hard, but hey, I understand. And I came to peace with that, right? I totally came to peace with, she has to set, like, look, Britain, she has to sell herself. She has to market herself. And why be in the sport if you don't want to be the best? I get that. And I respect that. What I don't respect is when I fought Pearl Gonzalez, the fight video that came out when she said, well, probably going to get mad at me, but I think Pearl's going to win. That right there was a knife in my back, in my heart. And I can't express to you guys how much that hurt, because friends are supposed to believe in each other and want the best for each other, especially when they train together, especially when they've been partners together. I couldn't dream of saying that about someone I loved and cared about, And so with that being said, if she called me and really empathize with how bad that hurt me and how maybe she didn't mean it, or maybe, I don't know. I just don't know how you come back from saying something like that. But maybe, hey, I realize how bad that hurt you. There's nothing I can do to take it back. But now I know what it feels like, because when I went and fought Christine, maybe some friends I thought I had didn't have my back on the situation. And yeah, I would move past it completely. I'm like, unfortunately, a sucker for that. Like, bringing it back to stupid Jenny Savage, like, that girl's in my inbox, like, blah, 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 I want you to win. And I'm like, I'm very respectful for her and say thank you. And if Christine said, like, Christine was team me for Bec, and I'm respectful, and I'm like, oh, okay, here's the building of a new friendship. And then once I see a comment, oh, Britain sucks and she's gonna lose, I'm sorry. Like, I feel bad saying this, like, to people that are in the media, don't be my friend. Like, we can be acquaintances and be respectful because that's a business, but don't be my best friend. Because if I hear you say you're rooting for somebody other than me, like, now, if I'm not fighting, I don't give a shit. But if I'm fighting and you're not rooting for me, that's not, you're not my friend. Like, and this is, come on, like, let's be real, guys. This is a huge world. There's a million people, and our time is the most valuable thing we have. And I can't afford to give time to people that don't believe in me. And I don't expect that of any young girl. I don't expect that of any aspiring fighter, male or female, to give their time. From me going through so much heartache, and what I've learned the most, do not give your time to people who do not believe in you, because there's a big world out there, and you would be so amazed at the people that will have your back and really be ride or die. And those are the people you put your energy in. So yeah, that's what I would guide with Taylor, and just say, that's what it was. And you didn't believe in me. And at the time, you didn't need it. I felt heartbroken, and that's just what it was,
Well said. And by the way, for current and future media members, don't root for anybody. That's not your job. You're not a fan. Like, you can be a fan, but don't be going on camera and actually rooting for fighters, because that's wrong. You're supposed to be unbiased, and you're supposed to just sit on the fence. That's what we do, and have conversations. Yeah. You don't root for anybody. But two last quick things, I'll let you
and
go.
Don't go out to eat with them, and don't stay in their apartment, and don't have them go on rides with you and meet at the park. Like, those things mean something to me. Like, if we talk, like, right, we're talking, it's cool. Like, I respect you. And if you say, you hope whoever wins, I'm like, oh, he's doing his job. But if me and you go out and eat dinner together, like, with me, you and Joey, and we're like hanging out and like, blah, blah, like, you better not be cheering against me. We broke bread together. You know what I mean? So media,
don't do that either. Don't do that either. You know what? I have you here, so I'm just going to ask you about it, because I've been talking about it today. BKFC was on the radar this past weekend. There was a big moment, BKFC Thailand, and you have been very vocal in regards to how you want the sport viewed as a whole, and how you want the promotion viewed as a whole, as it continues to snowball down and become something bigger and bigger. And this past Saturday, we saw a fighter named Tai Emery make her promotional debut. She gets a beautiful, clean knockout. And then the celebration scene around the world flashes the crowd, and it just went bananas. Now, I spoke with her earlier today. She said the whole thing was about freedom and liberation and essentially just being who you are and having fun in this chaotic and silly, crazy world we live in. So I'm sure you've seen this. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think good answer. I mean, that's what I would say if I did something. It's like, when you do something you're not supposed to. Oh, accidentally, it was good. But nah, I'm just honestly, look, at the end of the day, it's uphill battle for me. It really is. I have my viewpoints on it and I think very strongly on it, but I'm not going to knock the people that believe otherwise. The only thing I have to really say, like, good for her, freedom, super happy. I don't know if those were her real breasts or not, who knows, but it's all good. You're happy and people like that kind of stuff, but here are my two takeaways. One, it can be interpreted as a slap in the face to real hardworking fighters who are in the gym slaving away every day, punching, sit-ups, running, sparring, and they go out there and put on a good performance and act like an athlete and a fighter. And then you have this girl, and now it's going to be, well, who's going to be booked for a fight? Who's going to sell more tickets? Now she's going to sell more tickets. Her following went up. Everyone said her following doubled. Everyone's like, oh, I'll pay to watch that girl fight any day. Now, the fact that she did get, I guess you'd say a clean knockout, what it is. But it's a first fight. I think that you should work up and earn a little more credit, in the bank for somebody to always watch that fight based on their skill. But it just leads to a pattern, so now her following jumped up. Everyone's going to watch her because they're going to want to see that side of her. And, where other fighters that might not do that, it's like, oh, you know what? They don't get appreciated for their skill as much. But I can kind of let that one go because it was, she did get a knockout. It wasn't like she won, whatever. But another thing too is, I grew up very differently, and I have to say that as so people can kind of understand my background. My childhood years was not in the USA, and I was raised very differently, and I was also raised that this is a man's world. I'm very always aware of that, and that this is a man's world. Basically, I mean, I'm straight as can be, so let's get that out there. I'm super, super straight, but you have to act like a man for them to respect you. And that's sometimes why I think people don't like me, because I say what a man would say, and they would get yay, they're the best, where the female's like, no, 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 don't say that. But I act like a man because I want to be respected in this man's business sport world, and to do that, you can't wear mini skirts or flash your boobs or have an OnlyFans, because then guess what? Guys are in the gym that you're boxing at. They're not thinking, dude, that girl works hard. She's fucking a beast. She's so skilled. Her jab is good. They're thinking, oh, did you see her latest post? Oh yeah, let me get that. I'm gonna go spar with her so I can. When we hold, I'm gonna fill up in between her legs. I'm gonna rub up on her titties. I've heard it because, again, I live in a man's world and I hear how guys talk. And so best believe, ladies, that's what they're saying. You think they respect you. You think they think you're a great fighter. They don't. They're talking about you and having your ass pulled up. And while they're in the gym being like, look at my DMs. And they're comparing each other's DMs to the same girl who's DMing multiple guys. Now, to me, I guess that's a no-no. When I was in high school, you got your ass beat for shit like that. But now in today's generation, that's kind of cool. And, women are rocking that, man role on basically pimping themselves out. But it's cool. I mean, I guess if that's what they want to do and that's their lifestyle, whatever, but I would just preach to younger women and females, trust me, I've seen behind the scenes and I've seen it both ways. If you don't want someone to respect you, yeah, go flash your titties, go have an OnlyFans, go do whatever you want. Make that money. Some people don't care. Some people would, go shoot their mom for $5 million, and who the hell cares, That's just the world we live in. But if you want to do things and have people look at you and really respect you, you have to be mindful of like the images you post out. Like, you know, when little kids look at you and they see you wearing a thong all the time. Now, sometimes I totally do support body, whatever you said, like appreciation, whether you're small, chunky, big, curvy, like we should love all bodies. And that's totally a good thing to do once in a while. Like, hey, look at this hard work, post in a bikini, post. But I'm talking about like all the time. Like people are like misconstruing my thought process on it. Like when that's all you see is like lingerie, not bathing suits, lingerie, lingerie, you know, and the caption. It's all about the caption. Because again, if it's like me on the beach, yay. But if it's like, you know, I wonder what seashell's gonna fit up in here, you know, I don't know. Like, it's just basically the crazy stuff we're seeing online. Like, come on, guys, you know what you know the implications. So, you know, again, I wouldn't want my daughter and the people I, you know, want to look up to me. I wouldn't want them, you know, to go and post pictures of them wearing thongs and lingerie. I wouldn't want them to have an OnlyFans. I wouldn't want them to go sleep with 20 people in a month. I would want them to respect themselves and go out there and find a great man that treats them really good and loves them and cherishes them and respects them. And, you know, I feel like that's why you guys see me and Joey so happy. Like, you know, the man respects the shit out of me, and that's for a very good reason. And I'm super happy and super, you know, just like we have a bomb ass relationship for that reason. So you guys, like, fairy tale relationships are out there, but you gotta, if you're being a whore, what got, you know, you're not gonna find the dream husband, or he's gonna be a whore too.
This is why I talk to you about this stuff, because you give the fighter perspective and you don't hold back. You give your opinion. Like you said, heart is on the sleeve, and we will see your heart and your fists and everything else in the squared circle this Saturday. Britain Hart taking on Fani Peloumpi, main event, BKFC 29, Montana. Don't miss it. It's going to be a very busy day in the combat sports world and a historic day for BKFC, because we'll have our first ever BKFC Women's Strawweight Champion crown. Britain, thank you as always for the time. Always enjoy catching up with you. All the best to you on Saturday. And again, appreciate the time as always, especially so close to such a big fight.
Thank you. No, it gets me hyped up for it too. So I feed off that energy and I'm like, ready to show what it's about.